Hello, children, I see you. I'm very happy to see you. Greet your family, boogie on down. Give a clap and turn around. My name is Miss Wendy, and we are going to learn about reduce, reuse, and recycle today. So let's start out with a finger play. Everybody get your reduce, reuse, recycle fingers here. So use it again and make something new. That's what good recyclers do. So let's sing some recycling songs. And the first one is, here's a little picture. If you're trying to use less, clap your hands. If you're trying to use less, clap your hands. When we're using less, we're knowing that we're sharing with friends. We're showing if you're trying to use less, clap your hands. And we can take a recycling inventory so we can find out how can we use less energy and less water, how can we use fewer things, how can we make something new out of something we've already used, and what things can we recycle. We're going to learn about all of those. But now let's learn another recycling song. So here's our song. So it goes like this. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. When we use less, we all get more. Let's all use less. And here's our third recycling song, so we'll really remember about using less. Here's our next recycling song. Sharing with our friends is fun. Try to share with everyone. Using less, we all get more. That's what sharing's really for. Sharing with our friends is fun. Try to share with everyone. So let's read our story about more and less. This first line is, using less is what I do. I turn that faucet off when I'm not needing that water. Or making things into something new. And I'm going to show you a lot of examples of that. Sorting is how I begin to find the things for the recycling bin. So let me see. I've got a whole box. Let's see if you can see all the things in my box that I've collected. And I am going to figure out what can go in my recycling bin. So I know I can put things that are paper in my recycling bin. I can put cans in my recycling bin, but they need to be really clean inside. See how I cleaned that out? Dirty cans are no good in my recycling bin. I can put glass in my recycling bin. I can put plastics in my recycling bin. Let's see if I can show you. We have to look at that little triangle with numbers 1 to 7. So I always check my plastics for the triangle and the numbers. Now I can make a recycling bin because I can cut out a recycle symbol and I can put it on one of my boxes because that'll remind me to recycle. Another way that I can help the world use less is, oh, look at this box. this box is from Discarded Protest. And so it says, whoever said that one person could make a difference? I take food, ugly food, we couldn't sell it in a store, in a restaurant, but I can buy it and use it instead of just throwing it out. So that's another way that I can help use less. Now, let's see some of the ways I reuse things. Do you know what this is? This is a milk carton, and I made it into a beautiful vase using leftover scraps of gift paper. So let's look at my bag here with some of the things that I use for recycling. See, I've got my gift paper scraps, and then I've got some cards that I cut out, and all sorts of bottle caps. And look what I was able to make. Well, I took those toilet tissue rolls and covered it up to make a napkin holder for the holidays. Isn't that cute? I also made lots of recycled art. So this came with a container of food, but I thought, oh, I can take that and make it into beautiful recycled art. Here's a box from Christmas cards last year, but I decorated it and made it into a beautiful container that I can store rubber bands and paper clips and all sorts of things in. Oops, we dropped part of it. And I took those cards from the holidays and cut them out. And look at this beautiful, I could use it as a placemat, or I could use it as a holiday card. Now, I had this paper that I had printed something on, but instead of taking another piece of paper to print this picture of a worm on, we're going to learn a lot more about worms in January and February. I just printed it on the back. That saves paper. When we save paper, we save trees. Here's another way to save trees. Here's a piece of newspaper, but I decorated it, and it says, Merry Christmas, to make some Christmas wrapping paper. This will be beautiful Christmas wrapping paper for all those presents I was showing you. I have an old calendar. Don't you think this will make a beautiful card? So there's lots of ways that we can reuse things. There's another way that we can help save the environment. We can compost. Here's my compost bin. And here's a compost bin I made out of an old storage. Can you see all the dirt in the bottom? We're going to learn about soils and rocks and worms in January and February. So I am going to be able to recycle and compost my food scraps in here. So I took some pictures of some of the foods, and I figured out which ones would be good in a compost bin, like corn and maybe some plants and some old bread, stale bread. And I cut out those pictures and glued them in a bowl to make compost soup. So that's my compost soup craft. So let's learn some songs about composting. So this is my worm bin that we're going to learn about in the next few months. And this is how it goes. You put the worms in, you take some worm dirt out, you put some worms in, and compost all about. You do the compost boogie and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put some water in, here's my water. Put some water in. You keep the worms in the dark. You put some water in and give the worms some air. Can you make a blowing sound? You do the worm boogie and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. But now let's make wiggly worm fingers for our compost bin. Everybody had some worms in a compost bin. Whoops, all my projects are falling. Let's get those piled there. And all the worms made healthy soil in the compost bin. I'll show you that in a second. With a squiggle, squiggle here and a squiggle, squiggle there. Here a squiggle, there a squiggle, everywhere a squiggle, squiggle. Everybody had some worms in a compost bin. Now let's look at the soil. So I'm going to open my compost bin and you can see that all the soil I've been making, and you can see I've used old paper shreddings, and I have some worms in there and some old food in there that otherwise we would have just thrown in the trash. That makes really good soil so that I can plant things. Now let's see some of the compost snacks we can make and the reusable snacks. This looks sort of like compost, doesn't it? It's got lots of things in it, but it's actually a reused snack. So last month when I did turkeys, I had some pieces left over and they were broken. So I decided I'm not going to throw those out. I'm just going to melt them together and yummy. I made looks like some compost, but it's reused things from my turkey learning to make a delicious candy. I made another candy with some of the other things. So look at this candy. This one is really pretty with some of the pieces left over from making my turkey. And I had some things left over. The little pieces came from candies and pretzels like these. And I made trail mix. Doesn't that look delicious? That's going to be good for lunch today. Now, I didn't want to use bottled water and make more plastic. No way. I decided I would get my water from the sink and just put it through a filter so I would know it was nice and healthy. So let's end, and I'm going to end with our song about everybody loved their worms. So, ready? Everybody loves their worms in a compost bin, and all those worms make healthy soil in a compost bin with a squiggle, squiggle there and a squiggle, squiggle there. Here a squiggle, there a squiggle, everywhere a squiggle, squiggle. Everybody loves their worms in a compost bin. So we learned a little bit about how we can reduce things, how we can reuse things, and how we can recycle things. Next month, we're going to be learning about soil and rocks. And the month after that about worms. So all these will go together so we really know how to keep our earth healthy and happy and smiling. So Shake hands with friends, it's time to go. Wave hands with friends, it's time to go. Shake hands with friends, it's time to go. We hope we'll see you soon. Goodbye, children. Goodbye, children. Goodbye, children. We'll see you again next month.